Whoever wants to engage people's interest must provoke them. I'm architect Karan Anand, introducing you to Season 3, Episode 5 of Moñö Architecture, All Things Design. Brought to you by our brand partners, Highback Kitchen Studio and Turquoise. Today we have with us two such individuals who have definitely provoked everybody around them with their incredible portfolio of work, Siddharth Kerkar and Siddhi Karwa. Hi guys.
Hi, I'm Siddharth Kerkar. I'm an artist.
Hi, I'm Siddhi Karwa. I'm a content creator and an interior designer.
Hi guys, it's amazing to have you all here finally. So both of you all have jumped various creative fields. You all are working in various mediums. Siddharth, you've done art, you've done sculpture, you've done curations, you have your own bars. Siddhi, you've studied creative direction, you've had your tryst with influencing, you're still doing it, you've done your own project now in interior. So in a universe where we come from a certain mindset where everybody must do one thing, you all are changing the norms and trends of all of this. So tell us a little bit about how you all are managing to do this.
I think what makes me happy is creating new things. I like to be constantly engaged with creativity, learning new things, and routine is not something I can do. So from the very start, it's been me painting, me doing videos. That's how it turned into influencing. Creating things makes me happy, whether it's making a cocktail or a painting or a video, it's the same kind of happiness. And that thrill of the end product is what excites me and keeps me going. So, which is why I've started many things that just kind of keeps life exciting.
Yeah, I think very similar to what Siddharth said, that I hate monotony. I feel like anything that prolongs for too long, and not saying it in a bad way as to, take up something and leave it. But I think the whole point of, having to have the creative freedom when you're in such a field is to constantly challenge yourself, constantly jump onto new things, new opportunities, grab onto them, and, keep reinventing yourself also. I think that's what I enjoy the most, that every year I feel like I've rediscovered myself, and that's just like a little playful thing that keeps going on. Like I feel like, okay, this year is 2024 to 2025, this has been completely different me. And I love the whole exploring. I feel like I hate saying no to anything. I just say yes to everything that comes my way, and I want to jump onto challenges and try and experiment everything. What I love about the field is that it gives you the chances to constantly rediscover yourself.
That's lovely. You both have, in your own conversations or in certain ways, touched upon the topic of existentialism, right? And what is the purpose of all of it? So what keeps you driven and what keeps you motivated? Or is it just that this is who I am and I will do what I want to? Or is there a certain guideline that one must follow to have this sort of a lifestyle that you all have developed for yourselves?
I like to learn new things. I want to be a constant learner, and trying out new things, learning new skills is what keeps life exciting, is what keeps life challenging. I know that I am going to really make it. I don't know how I'm going to make it, but there's a lot of confidence in what I'm doing.
Yeah.
Like the latest project I've done, which is Dalia and Gala. When I made the pitch to the real estate guy, the one who owns the building, I said I want to build the best bar in the world.
Yeah.
And he's like, what do you mean by that? This, that. So I was trying to create a very different genre of bars. I don't want to do the same thing which is happening right now. I wanted something which is more experiential, and it's not to bag any kind of award or make the best bar in whatever the world 50 best list, 30 best list. That wasn't the goal. The goal was very consumer driven, where I want to create something where the consumer goes home super happy and maybe leaves a text after it. And right now
That's
it's
me.
kind of...
I did that.
Yeah.
I did that when I went to his bar and I left the text saying, oh my God, I have so much fun.
So, the whole idea is to give the consumer what they want. We're not saying we're this, we're that. It's rather we leave it to the consumer. It's really not made for any award or achieving anything. Okay, somebody wants to feature it, it's fine. But it is completely on enhancing the experience of the consumer.
Yeah.
And I feel what we are doing different is making different arts meet. So there's visual arts, there's culinary arts, there's mixology, there's good hospitality, and the whole experience, which is very immersive, which just helps someone who comes in be in awe of the space. And the moment you enter, you're enjoying the space, rather than the drink and food, which is later and would better be good, because people are coming.
Fair
but
enough.
the focus is more on when they come in, they're like, whoa, what is this place and what is this? So that's the whole idea so when I'm designing from an angle of being an influencer. So I understand lighting and I understand like photo ops. I understand service because it's my fourth bar. Service, operations, how are the drinks going to be, where will the waiter kind of clear the plates, clear the glasses. So operations, I really enjoy the act of drinking. I like to be in a very cool bar and, have proper lighting.
It's a disclaimer that comes down now.
And the whole idea is, I know what kind of lighting I want when I sit for a drink. So I'm designing from many, many angles. So when I'm designing a place, it comes from many, many directions. And what I want to create is something very different, something that doesn't exist, starting a new genre of hospitality. That's the
lovely.
goal. Yeah.
Basically what he said, so existentialism, as to what I spoke, is it's basically saying that there is no like inherent meaning to life, so you give a meaning to your life. So it's basically doing things authentically. It's slapping your personality on things that you do. So as a designer, why I started finding it relevant is I started questioning spaces more than just seeing how they look or what's the function of it. It's more about why is this there. It's actually making you ask questions as to why have I created this. So like he said that he wanted to give an experience. So it's actually diving deeper into just the looks and feel of it. It's actually making your customers or like anybody, like people who are staying at their homes, to kind of linger a little more in their spaces and ask the relevant questions as to why, what's the purpose of this? What's the personality that I bring to this? Those kind of nuances was what I feel like existentialism brings to, like that's why I spoke about it. And I find it very relevant as a designer, especially because I feel like I didn't think about it so much back then, but like when you're actually designing and then we're actually going beyond, like when you're doing intentional designing, you're actually asking, why am I creating this space? Rather than just like, this is me and I'll do this.
How you said it, like there's a permanence to design, right? Unlike many other fields, there's a permanence where if you're designing a space for an individual, if it's a home, they're going to be there for say 20, 30 years, maybe more, maybe generation after generation are going to live in a space that you all have designed. So I feel like you all have answered that really beautifully, because that kind of sums up the whole concept of existentialism, because it may not even be for yourself, but it may be for somebody who is existing in that space as well. You both have traveled extensively, right? You all have traveled all across the world and you all have derived inspiration. So Siddhi, could you tell us a little bit about if that was another reason that helped you kind of develop into where you are right now?
Majorly, that was the reason, because I feel like every time I traveled, I realized that for me, the most important aspect about traveling was my experience of my space around me. I feel like that's what clicked first for me when I thought that designing interior-wise or space-wise was very important for me, because I looked at my trips or I looked at my experiences very focused through what the stays were giving me. And I'm not saying that it had to be something fancy or whatever. I really actually have gone all out when I have, researched of the places that I want to be. I felt like I've gone deeper than just choosing the most Pinteresty or aesthetic looking place, but more as to which place is going to give me the actual experience of the place that I'm staying in. And I feel like that was like the first thought that I had when I was thinking that, this is what I am supposed to do, is that affects me, or that brings so much value to everything I do. And traveling is something that I do extensively. And I always look forward to an experience that my stay or my surroundings is going to give me. And that's where I picked up most, even today, even after studying it, I feel like the most amount of learning I do is outside of books, when I'm like traveling, when I'm actually seeing places, when I'm actually feeling those things, when I'm actually feeling those textures and fabrics or those walls. I feel like that makes so much more difference than just seeing it through your screens.
Exactly, yeah. Or
your
like a
books.
Pinterest
Yeah,
image or
exactly.
And also like when you, like for example, when you're traveling to all of these places and you see a pretty basin, or if you see an artwork, or if you see a wallpaper, it sometimes overwhelms your senses as well, right? So I think that the kind of work that you've started doing now is really, really important, because you've managed to kind of accumulate that wealth of knowledge, the plethora of knowledge that you've developed, and you've put it into that project of yours, which we will talk about in a little bit of time. Siddharth, I wanted to ask you about your trip to Croatia. Because we were talking about this earlier, right? So I know you travel a lot, but I want you to tell us about how this trip inspired you to design Dalia and Gala.
We were in a city called Dubrovnik, which was in Old Town. And Old Town is basically a town where Game of Thrones was shot. The entire city has walls of Dubrovnik, that's what they call it. So it's like a castle, and it's a 4 to 5 kilometer walk across the entire city. So me and my business partner Vipin, we were on a trip to check out 35 best bars of Europe, following the list, not following the list, whatever people recommended. And so 45 days in Europe, just checking out cocktail bars.
The art of
a great
drinking.
trip,
It was, we could call it work in a way,
Sure.
which is great. I love my job.
I mean, it worked out for you, so
It worked out. So 5 kilometers, we finished the whole thing. We had lovely beers, fresh chilled beers with an excellent view. At the end of the walk, our legs are hurting. We see a sign that says the Dali exhibition. We enter inside. The exhibition wasn't great. It was just prints and some original drawings of Dali. And the point is, our legs were hurting at the end of this thing. So we sit down, and there's a board that says Dali and Gala. And Vipin, my business partner, he owns a brand called Scene, which is a branding studio. And he's always looking out for these names. So he looks at that and he's like, Sid, you know what? This would make a great bar name. And he writes it down on his phone. And I say, okay, but Dali was into surrealism, romance, adultery. And this is a very cool story. This is the first time we're ever reading about Gala. I didn't know who Gala was. Dali I've extensively read about. This is what I say to him. I'm like, we can create something that's immersive, an experience, something surreal, and we just change the game. And then we go back just smiling to the hotel that, we've kind of got this idea now. That was 7 months ago. And now Dali's opened about 2 months ago. So, June, July is when it happened. We started work in August, launched in December. So it was a quick kind of turnaround. I think every trip, there's so much to learn, and you don't know what will, kind of stay in your subconscious, and it comes out, through a bar in my case. I love traveling because creativity, it's not something that, is just flowing. You need to kind of draw from it. You need a break. And I take my breaks very seriously. I will not reply to a single email for 45 days.
The Moñö team knows.
Yeah, Karan knows.
We all know.
If you try and reach out to me, I will take my breaks so seriously. I will not, or if I'm working, I will not reply, which is I need a manager really badly. The life goal is currently to be happy and as unavailable as possible for work. I don't like to respond too much to the phone.
That's great.
I like to be as unavailable as possible. And when I'm in my zone, I'm like a true artist. So when I'm in a mood, I will paint. I will forget to eat, I'll forget to drink, but I will paint from morning to evening, and then I realize it's like 9 at night. Dali was 125 artworks in 4-5 months. That's a lot of,
That's crazy. And they were large artworks.
Big sculptures, ideas, new media, so using digital works. So there was a lot of thinking happening. So I just didn't want to be available to any other thing. In fact, I cancelled half the projects I got. For me, I think travel, you learn a lot of things. Things stay in your subconscious. You never know what will come out in the form of an artwork. It keeps things exciting, and creativity, you need that. You need that break. It's like being an author. You write. Knowing great grammar won't make you a great author.
Yeah, I wish.
The more you engage with art, and there is a right and wrong in art. The more you engage with art, the more you see art exhibitions, you kind of, something kind of stays in your head.
Yeah, I feel like all your sensory organs, if you engage with all of them, that stays in your head a lot longer than something that you just probably saw through a photo. So when you're actually traveling and actually looking at these, seeing, hearing or touching, they stay in your head a lot more than things that you're just on your Pinterest board or something. Like he said, you need to fully immerse and actually not be available when you're traveling like this. When you're genuinely traveling.
Yeah.
That's like a proper, you're focused
like
on
like a
that.
proper travel, which actually gives you a whole experience and not just makes it a vacation. It's not so much of a vacation, but more like if you're also, the intention needs to be a lot more than just taking a break. It needs to be opening your brains to actually even like
Growth.
get something in, you know. And if you're constantly like engaging with something on the back of your mind, then you're not really there to like grasp things that are available.
You can't take the contract.
And it's like by the moment, right? You miss it, you miss it. So you really gotta fully be present, like when you're traveling. You can't be like, okay, let me leave this for tomorrow. That thing's not gonna happen tomorrow.
You know, like when you look at, say, a stereotypical designer, right? You have, say, if I'm, for example, an architect or an interior designer, I have a certain method by which we kind of work and we do our stuff, right? Whereas for the two of y'all, right? Y'all have so many, y'all have like a multitude of various things that y'all are doing. Like just as an example, I reached out to you yesterday because we were planning to go to Masai Mara for the longest time, right? And then we saw it on your page. Pragati, my wife, she saw it on your page and she's like, can you ask Siddhi if she can help? Because it looked so genuine, like the trip looked so like, we were just like, we have to do this, right? Or whether it's your lights or your sculpture, or any of these things, right? So y'all are doing it through a certain school of thought, a certain mindset that y'all have. So how are y'all generating this thought? And I'm asking this question because a lot of our viewers are a younger audience, right? They're people who are getting into our fraternity, but they want to explore as well, right? We come from, like when I was teaching or whatever, it's like if you're an interior designer, you're an interior designer. Why are you going into the fashion department, or why are you playing with paper, or why are you trying to experiment with material? That is a general school of thought, and I feel like what y'all are doing is a lot of unlearning and then redoing what y'all are doing.
I actually find it absolutely fascinating and firstly extremely privileged to be doing all of this.
Yeah.
It takes courage to be doing everything, and like, you know, I think this one quote has ruined my life, which is the former part of my life, which is Jack of all trades, master of none. I felt like I emphasized on that so much because it always had a negative connotation when people said it to you. It always sounded like you actually have not mastered anything. You're just like jumping onto things. And I felt like that somehow always demotivated me in a way that I felt like I'm actually not great at everything, you know. I'm good at everything, but I'm not great at everything. And maybe that's the key. The unlearning was so beautiful that it's actually not. It's basically look at the horizon that you have, and then you jump on one thing or another and look at the skill set that you've developed. You've gone beyond what you think is, you know, learning for you, and you've explored everything. Today, having a conversation with anyone and everyone is something that I find as a very valuable skill. And I feel like that comes with trying and learning everything. I feel like people who say that, you know, why learn when you're already making money? Like,
exactly.
I had like so many people who told me that when I was going to study because I was going to keep my work on break. I was not going to make a single penny. I was in fact going to burn all my savings into actually schooling myself and funding me there. But I felt like there is absolutely no learning that is going to go to waste. I feel like unlearning has been the best learning for me. I feel like every time I've said that, okay, this is the direction I'm going to go to, I have discovered something else for myself, and I have learned that as well. And it's only helped me in doing what I'm already doing. It's never been like, this has gone to waste. It's always just added more value to what I already do. And then when it all comes together, everything that I'm doing, it's just magic.
That's lovely.
For youngsters kind of starting out, or for people who do a lot of things, you know, in design or art, there's so many people who ask me, you know, how do you make it as an artist?
Yeah.
And it does take years. Like I've been painting since I was maybe 13. You know, 10, 12, I was making canvases that were 5 feet by 5 feet. I was always encouraged to do it. But one thing that I learned a lot of art and engaged with a lot of art is because all my trips as a kid were checking out dad's exhibitions in Europe.
Yeah.
And we would go maybe to the Venice Biennale every 2 years. At that time, I really didn't understand what was going on. All sorts of objects, art, things that really don't make sense. And many times you feel, especially when you're that young, you're like, oh, I can make this, you know. A lot of people say, oh, you know, my 5-year-old can make that. But they didn't. or you didn't.
Oh yeah, that's actually a very valid point, that you can but you didn't.
You didn't. Yeah, you can, but you didn't. But now I've been doing this for 10 years, you know, kind of really understanding the medium of using sand, or many times the surroundings that I am creating the work in find my way into my works. When we were building the Museum of Goa, for 6 months I worked with cement as a medium in my works. After the Museum of Goa, also when it was being built, there was a carpentry workshop right next to my studio where I actually started using sand and sawdust. So sand I always used to use, but then sawdust kind of came into it. That was more textural, that was more thicker. Then I started doing that. During Diwali, there were leftover fireworks. For 2 years, I've only burnt paper and created works. So it was, you know, mediums just changing.
Yeah.
There was a lot of learning happening because then I'm engaging with that medium so much. For 2 years, when you use just your burning paper, you learn to burn it really professionally. You know, you can do all sorts of things with that simple fire flame. I really went into kind of using that medium, understanding the medium, how it acts. If I use, say, 1/3 sand and then, 2/3 is sawdust, it'll be a thicker consistency. Then I kind of strain the sand, it's different. So I think you have to keep on learning new things, keep on checking out new art. And then you realize, I've been maybe to the Venice Biennale about 8-9 times. And when you go there, then you understand that you never judge an artist on one work. You kind of see what they've done in the past to kind of achieve that, and what their thinking is to kind of come to that. Yeah. I used to say, but this is not great. But then when you see the rest of the body of works, like there was an artist, Catalan, who sold the banana for some 2 million, 3 million, I don't know.
Yeah.
Now, if you see his work, it's phenomenal. If he's able to sell that banana today,
it's because of
everyone is judging only on that banana.
Yeah.
But if you see his previous works, it is phenomenal. What he's done, and and how he sees things, So you have to really understand what the artist is thinking when he straps a tape on a banana with a tape and puts it on the wall.
Siddhi, you've studied in Europe, and I'm sure you've had your tryst with art as well. And I'm sure that has influenced the way you think and curate and design and all of that. So could you tell us a little bit about that as well?
So I studied in the UK.
Yes.
And I decided why I wanted to choose UK before, because fortunately for me, I realized my style of design already before I wanted to study. Because that 1 year that I'd given myself was a very risky business. So I just wanted to be sure in every aspect. I've just gone on sites 2-3 times to just actually be on a site and see if I really like this, because
before you went?
Before I went to study, because I'm like, I can't afford this as a hobby course. Sorry, ma'am, you have to really be there, and you have to know if you really enjoy it, and then you can go and burn all your savings from 2 years and then do this. So I in that process, I realized what I really like designing, what's my style. I was really inspired by the Victorian era, and that's why I chose the UK. That's when I discovered maximalism, where it wasn't necessarily always, for me, it was taught to me as, maximalism is just more, more stuff, more things, more clutter. And that was far away from what it actually was. I think what helped me was going to study with an intention of what I already knew I wanted to, excel in. So that kind of gave me an up. So I chose my courses accordingly. I chose my tutors also. In certain spaces, you can choose your tutor. You can also do some side courses as well. So I feel like that really helped me. So as a suggestion, I would always tell that first kind of work with yourself. See what is it that you want to do and and then jump into doing courses. I'm not saying don't go for one. Of course, go for one, but do the study with yourself first and understand what you actually want to do, because that really helped me when I was out there. I think the exhibitions also that I was attending, it's impossible. He comes from a field of so much art history, and I am the opposite. I come from zero background in just creativity in general. I'm from a very finance-centric background. There is literally no ounce of creativity in the entire family, for years and years. So for me, everything was just it was so overwhelming.
Yeah.
There is not so much I could study in 1 year. So I was picking in my brain, it was just I want to do this, I want to do that, I want to learn about this, I want to, I want to learn this culture, that culture. I was like, and designing is so diverse.
It's never ending.
It's never ending. You can learn about artists. You can learn about so many different types of artists. There is just, and museums are like, it's like a place where you can actually discover so many other things that you've actually never really even read about. So for me, that 1 year was so overwhelming. It was very nice and important in a way for me to know what I want to learn today, and then kind of get a hang of it, and then obviously dive into things that are unknown to me.
And it's really nice the way you put it, because I think a lot of people or whoever, wants to do design, they feel like, they'll get in there and they'll study for a year or they'll study for 2 years and then they'll know everything. And then you kind of just blurt it out and you can keep recreating designs, but it's not like that. It's a lifetime, multiple lifetimes of learning, and you still not even like touch the tip of the iceberg. And Siddhi, your fashion sensibilities are a lot like Coco Chanel's, which is minimalist, right? And your design ideologies focus a lot towards, say, Schiaparelli, who's bolder. And in their journeys and in their lives, one of them tried to burn the other one's clothes and all of that because it just didn't match. But in your life, you have managed to kind of let it coexist, right? Or cohabitate in your entire journey.
Yeah.
So could you tell us a little bit about that?
Firstly, it's to do with my dual personality. Like, I feel like it's the calm and chaos that I have in my own head that I reflect through my clothes and my spaces. But it was just, in fact, yesterday that I was setting up my wardrobe, and I just put a wallpaper and I was setting up my clothes. And the wallpaper in my closet is like this deep blue mural, like out there with like houses and animals and like sculptures, and like my clothes are like white, black, grey, white, black, grey. So I was just looking at myself like, this is like just personality disorder here. The maximalism came from the fact that I really like to romanticize every situation in life in a very silly little girl way, but I do. And I feel like when I started creating spaces, my idea behind it was always to create something dreamy, which is more aspirational, and it's not just available or relatable. When it was about clothes, when it was about my personal style, it was more to just, be understated. It wasn't so much about intimidating as, styling myself. But when it came about spaces, I always wanted to create something which is not here, but somewhere else. So whenever I'm designing something, the maximalism comes out of the fact that I don't get to see this here, but I'd love to live there. That's how my brain works when it comes to designing. I want to be in spaces that I dream of being in. I am creating that already for myself. So when I'm there, it's just, I've lived there already in my head. That's what I'm doing with spaces. And with clothes, I just feel like that's just me as a person. I'm just like this. Like I'm an introverted person. It doesn't, I just like to play it very simple, classic, and timeless, and very bold when it comes. And I love this dual thing that goes on. Like I can be myself in completely different personalities and both the things that I'm doing in life.
Basically, your designs are like what's the dream in your mind, which is kind of now reflecting.
Yeah, basically designing is Dali. Complete absurd and surrealism. This is more like existentialism, and I'm Nietzsche.
Very cool. Suddenly I'm having nihilistic thoughts listening to this. I'm just like, kya ho gaya? What am I doing in my life?
I'm like a nihilist person every time I'm in Europe. I'm just like, what's the point of all of this? Why am I doing anything that I'm doing back home? All I want to do is nothing right here. And then when I'm actually going back to being an existentialist, I'm just like, okay, this is why I'm doing it, to be a nihilist in Europe and to just like sulk about everything else in life.
This is the exact thing that happened to me. I was in Copenhagen and I was in front of a Monet's, and I did not realize that space had Monet's work, right? I was just standing in front of it and I was doing a project and my contractor kept calling me, he's like, and all of these people are sniggering, then no. Like today is like a happy day because no one is calling me, right?
Yeah.
And I'm looking at his work and I'm like, this is a landscape. It's not surreal, it's not Dadaist, whatever. It's just a landscape. And I in that moment, I just fell in love with it and I was like, what am I doing, man? Like, what is going on? And then I came back and I continued doing it. But these realizations are important, so that's lovely.
Realizations and not self-doubt. Like, don't get into self-destruction and be like, what's the point of life? Why am I living?
Self-doubt is like,
that's a little intense. Not saying that.
Not
doing that.
This conversation
not being dark, but just like keep questioning that.
Yeah. I don't even know how to begin this question, but you can play around with 35 different ways to paint copper. You have worked with discard materials. You worked with all kinds of materials. So tell us about how you do this, why you do this, and what is the purpose of it?
I always used to use a lot of materials, and for me it was beyond a canvas and paper. So I'm like, okay, what can I make? I want to make my own form. I make all my works are made on a base which is made of wood. I wanted a different shaped canvas. Why is it just square, or why is it just rectangular? So I wanted to change that. So I started doing my own things. Now, when I went to Central St. Martin's to study, CSM was more inclined towards fashion. Like, I was like, have I come to the wrong college? Because everyone is just doing fashion. What I really liked about that college was, when you create a work, 10 different people connect to your work very differently, and you get feedback from 10 people. Now, out of these 10, 9 were inclined towards fashion and textile. So they look at it from a materiality, texture perspective very much, because that's what fashion is about. It's a lot of, going in depth into textiles and like texture. Then I was like, I really need to be creating, because it was more towards I like to work with material, hands-on. And they had a massive metal workshop which did jewelry. And I just go in, I see these shiny panels of copper, brass, and I said, okay, let me just buy one. So I started buying these panels, and I would spend all day just hammering and beating copper. I've done this for 1 year. I've just beaten copper in different ways. Then I started Googling on YouTube how to create patina. Patina is the process by which you color copper with different chemicals. You use salt, you use acetic acid, vinegar, you use copper sulfate, copper nitrate, you're using ammonia to basically create different ferrous oxide. So different colors on that copper surface. Now, some of them last, some of them completely color the copper. You can scratch it off in one go. Some of them will just be flaky right on the surface of the copper. So I started just mixing, matching different things. I don't know what I was doing actually, but just started making small panels. So I cut this copper sheet and I wrote behind it saying that, okay, this is salt and copper one by one part by one, equal measures.
Yeah.
And this is the color that came. So I was just exploring. I loved the metal workshop. I loved the new material I was engaging with. And 1 year I just did that. All my final year works were after that year was just copper. Then I started looking at photographs and then trying to create that photograph on a panel of copper. So it's very minimalist forms of objects of the human body. Like there was some Japanese photographer who would photograph like a nude body of a girl who was kind of just the back. Yeah. So I was trying to hammer that onto copper. I don't know why I was doing it, but I was just doing it. I was enjoying it. And creating art is kind of meditative. You're just in that thing where you're trying to achieve something. And I'm very end goal driven. Where I see the thing, I'm like, okay, I want to create this, has to be exact. Then I add my own touch to it. And I love textures. And copper let me do that. So for 1 year, all I've done is learn to color copper in different ways. And it was exciting. Go on YouTube at night, just keep watching videos, how to turn it red, how to turn it blue, how to turn it, you have all kinds of things with copper. So I just started doing that. And that's how this 35 colors of copper happened.
Amazing. Okay guys, so thank you for these beautiful answers. So now we're going to play a fun game. I'm going to give you all 10 seconds and you all have to pick whatever material you want from these two trays. After that, you get 2 minutes to take those materials and design these 2 pots. And then the audience decides who the winner of this game is. Okay guys, so I'm going to start the timer. Let's go. All straight for the sketch pens. Siddharth, no one wants you to use sketch.
No, oh yeah, okay, cool. Oh, these are just papers.
Okay, so now guys, you all have 2 minutes to design.
This kam kapda hai. Guys, these things are chotu, okay? So I don't know how to
What does he do? Both of you are doing some crazy shit.
This takes 2 minutes to even work. Oh, this is supposed to be a sticker or what?
Guys, 1 minute left, okay?
What are you supposed to
flower.
stitch this?
Yeah.
Very good.
Oh.
Okay, guys, last 20 seconds. Guys, last 5 seconds. 4, 3, 2, 1.
Please see the maximalism. These are shells, okay?
Wow, that's actually really. Wow, man, I didn't realize you did all of that.
And these are like these gold beads.
That's Dalia and Gala.
Pretty.
That's so cool.
Dalia and Gala
And the eggs. Oh man, that's so
actually
cool.
cute.
Yeah.
You actually managed to put the
We
balloon
made
like
eggs
that.
with balloons, huh? Both of these are so cool. I love this because this looks like they're trees growing out of like the earth.
Basically, the idea is there's wildlife, there is fauna, flora, and sea growing out of one thing.
Wow, this is amazing. This is lovely. So we have joint winners and you're going to share the hamper. Lovely stuff.
Congratulations.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Yay.
Siddhi, you completed your first project. Could you walk us through that entire journey of how you began it, how you ended it, what that entire experience was? I'm asking you this question because there are a lot of people who are now on the onset of doing their first project, right? So could you walk us through this entire journey, please?
It was basically a project that I did before I started school. It was my decision, like make or break kind of project. Basically, I realized during lockdown that this is something that I'm really, really keen beyond a hobby, and it's something that I definitely want to learn more about and maybe pursue if that goes somewhere for me. But having said that, I knew that if I wanted to go study somewhere, it's going to be expensive. So it had to be a very well thought of decision. I decided to renovate my home in a budget. I told 5 of my closest people who are like, unabashedly honest with me. And I told them that at the end of it, you tell me whether I am meant to do this in life or I just need to save my money and sit here and do what I'm doing. I did that entire project, and I feel like in whatever means I could back then, that time I didn't even have any kind of knowledge. I literally went on floor on my site, and the site was my home. So I couldn't escape it.
Yeah.
There were like people in my house every time. And I actually wanted that experience. And I think I called for it so much that it was literally in my house every day. The whole site experience, which honestly I thought would be more daunting than it was supposed to be, but actually it was pretty nice. I did enjoy it. A lot of people said that that's the mundane stuff that you won't like. But I did enjoy speaking to the labor. I did really enjoy selecting my faucets. I did really enjoy actually going, like there was a time when I picked out all the tiles of my space, but I still went tile shopping.
Yeah.
Just like, I enjoy it so much. I'm like, let me see what's new in the market today. I would just go for that. I couldn't afford a marble something in my house back then because obviously I was on a very tight budget, but I would go to these marble factories and be like, let me see what's in the market. So I feel like that really made me realize that it was more than just something that I definitely wanted to do this. There's also a very tiny little story as to why this started is because on my birthday, there was a small fire that got caught in my bathroom and it burnt down completely. So the idea was to renovate. It was black for 5 days. It was absolutely...
This is in a proper building.
Proper building. The exhaust fan got some like short circuit and burned down. And the idea was to renovate the bathroom. Renovate as in what? Pura hi khatam ho chuka tha. Redo the bathroom. So that was the idea. And then I was like, okay, can I, like I told my mom, I said, can I just do the little bit of like the entire house and give it a fresh look from my end, and then we'll decide whether this is my course of action or not. At no point I felt like I was bored or I was doing the mundane stuff. Like, clients now when they come and say ki, ye mujhse nahi hota, ye aap kar lo. Those things really excite me. Like, wo kehte hain aap WC, you choose choosing WCs is really fun.
Yeah, and people don't realize how important
People don't
it is.
realize how important an ugly WC can make the most stunning bathroom look absolutely bad. There's no way you can hide one. It's going to be right there. So those things really excited me on the other end, contradicting to what others felt. And the whole process of like literally being on site and learning on site, like literally measurements, inch tape was the first time I actually held it that time. I had to really show up every day. I had to be a leader, which I absolutely detest. I would rather be sitting alone every time, all day. But, these things I had to learn, pick up, and I learned it all on my first site. The point when I realized that this is the calling is when I got an offer on the house that I did 6 months into it. I lived in it for 6 months and I got an offer to buy it the way I had done it.
Wow.
So I felt like that was something more than the Instagram hoo-ha. I felt like someone was ready to pay me money for it,
Yeah.
That's the real deal. I know that I can sell myself in the market right now. So yeah, going to school, learning how to read charts, learning how to do 3Ds, learning how to read floor plans. Like I didn't even know that. Learning how to like literally the stupidest stuff that I felt so silly asking in class because I was directly doing a postgraduate course. But it was...
Oh yeah, you went and did it.
I didn't do like a graduation, beginner or
yeah.
anything. While it felt silly, it was also very motivating because I had like my classmates were ladies who were like 60-year-old who had like really, they were like, we have raised our kids, we've raised our grandkids, now we get to start our life and now we get to start living. And while I was thinking that at 26, I decided to choose a whole other career, gosh, it's so late because India really makes you feel like that.
Seriously. Huh?
So going out and having that perspective and sitting in a classroom with people like that was so wholesome.
Yeah.
And so motivating in a very unexpected way. And yeah, somehow after I think 6 months, Good Homes picked it and published it. Avril picked it, published it, and I knew that she was going to publish it. I didn't know it was going to be the cover. So when it released, it was a surprise to me also. And it was a beautiful surprise.
Yeah, that's a great surprise.
Yeah, that started my journey. I was already in school when the publication happened. So I was like, everything was so overwhelming. I was like, okay. So yeah, I know there was no stopping. I had to keep going.
And tell me like your on-site experience, right? Did that help you in your education? Because what happens is that when we're hiring or when students come out of college, me included, right? What we learn in school is very different from what we actually practice. Like for example, when you spoke about the electric layouts, right?
Yeah.
What they teach you in college is very different from what is actually happening on site, right? And you as a leader at that point can't stumble because everybody is looking at you. And the moment you hesitate, they know that, they can take you for a ride or whatever. It's general human nature, right?
Yeah.
So when the students or whoever graduates and they go to site, they're just like, overwhelmed with what's happening and they're just like, kya ho raha hai? Whereas you went from a site to college, which is a very different interaction. So could you tell me a little bit about that journey and how it helped or did not help you?
I feel like everybody should take this approach, and students outside do take this approach where they, before doing their postgrads or MBAs and stuff, they do take a year off when they practically go and experience what they want to pursue in their career before they actually do their masters or their MBA. Whatever reason I did it for, I didn't do it for this reason, I did it for the reason to actually understand whether this is something that I really enjoy. I feel like it really helped me. Firstly, the site experience was so important because when I went there, the language those countries use versus the language that we use, in just the basic metric system that they use versus what we use is completely different. I am literally sitting in my school with a calculator on because my tutor is talking in meters and I know I have to go back and talk to them in feet. And inches. So this is going to be of no use. So I am literally like everything she's saying, I'm like, there's a calculation going on the right side under my desk. I'm like constantly doing it. Also, when I was working there, I did understand what a 12-inch looked like. I did understand what an 8-inch looked like. I didn't understand what an 8 meter or like 1 meter looked like. So for me to envision what she was saying, I had to instantly convert it. So I feel like that site experience really made my learning because it was directly a postgrad course. They were not doing basics with you. They were really jumping deep, diving into not the basics, but like exactly what you're doing when you're on site. So if I didn't have that knowledge, I went with a complete blank mind. I would have really wasted my time, my money, and I would have really like not gotten out of that class knowing anything. Like my first class was basically me realizing why the people in the UK are so maximalist is because their environment outside is always great 365 days. So the reason why they always ask you to put color in your designs is because seasonal depression is pretty real. You hear of it and you think you're sitting here in your tropical weather and thinking, NRIs, or foreigners, like they're so like, snooty. Dramatic, but it's real. You be there and it's really depressing. So your interiors are so important in such weathers or in such places. It really needs to spark, just like, I want to get up and live.
That's amazing.
Just the basic of it. So you need to, there is so much layering, there's so much texture, there's so much prints, there's so much color in your house, and it's not because of no reason, just because, hey, I'm a maximalist artist. It's really to like, you know, pump up your everyday mood and energy, as opposed to what you're going to be feeling and looking outside.
That's amazing. That's such a beautiful answer. Siddharth, there's abstraction and then there's abstraction. A lot of designers fail to ideate, conceptualize and abstract before they begin the process of designing, or maybe that is not their journey. Whereas when it comes to you and your designs and the products that you're creating, the spaces that you're designing, there is a lot of ideation, there's a lot of sketching, there's a lot of abstraction. Could you walk us through a couple of your projects and how you kind of go through this entire project and this entire process and the end results of it?
Now, most of the projects I've designed my own.
Yeah.
So it's not that I am now catering to a client as such, or even when I am doing a project which is not my own, I'm very clear that there can't be 3 or 4 creative people on this.
Yeah.
Because then there's a clash of ideas. How I see a space is very different. How someone else sees a space is very different. So because there's no client I'm catering to, it's usually very easy for me to, you know, create whatever I want. So there's no stoppage in terms of what the possibilities are endless for me. I'm investing my own money into all my properties. Like there's no one to say, okay, you know what, don't do this. So it's me putting in my money. Everything I make from art, I'm putting in my hospitality projects, and I make my own space and I decide the way it looks and the feel I want to give it, the way people will interact with it, all that I'm deciding. So it's very different. Even if I'm making a space, I'm very clear from the start that, you know, this is how I work. And I'm not a trained architect. I'm not a trained interior designer. But for me, it's very important how a person feels when they come in. Yeah. And that is something I understand. So in terms of hospitality, I'm very clear that this is the direction I'm going in. And I'm happy to take feedback, you know, from people who are in it. But because I opened Sopo, like Sopo was my first restaurant in Goa 3 years ago, I started learning about operations. I started learning about, you know, how it works in terms of clearance of glasses, how fast drinks come out, what is an ideal bar counter size. You know, you're looking at a 30-seater space. You better have your drinks come in every 2 minutes because that's how the sales will rise. So all this, there's a lot of understanding that came because of hospitality. Abstraction, on the other hand, just to give you an example, good abstraction, bad abstraction. You look at a sunset and you can be like, you know what, 1 week ago it was much better. Or you look at a sunset 5 days later and you're like, wow, like this is the best sunset I've ever seen in my life. A sunset is very abstract. What a good abstract is and what a bad abstract is a very, like what you're wearing right now. You're wearing 2 textures. Why you pick this texture is very abstract.
I feel judged.
You know, exactly. Like, no, I'm saying why you pick that texture from something that is plain.
Yeah.
Why I'm wearing a shirt with a little, you know, thing here, or why I like linens is very abstract. There's a lot of abstract decisions we make throughout our lives. There's no reason to it. Why Siddhi is wearing this? It just looks good. There's no reason why, you know, when you look at a lot of art galleries, a lot of art, you learn that, okay, you know what, this is kind of better than this. You start comparing what you've already seen to what you're seeing right now. Or even in your own practice, I know that the next project will be better.
Yeah.
Dalia and Gala has been the best so far, but I know the next project will be better.
Yeah.
And I'm certain of that because there's so much of learning that happens in your own experiences as well. You kind of keep improving, you learn new things. I'd say every project I do, art is the center and the place is formed around the art. So it's very different from how usually interior design goes, where I'm not really styling a place. The art is the main thing and then the place is built around it. When I entered Dalia and Gala for the first time when I was supposed to sign for the property, I go in and I'm like, okay, this section is free, this wall is free, this wall is free, this wall is free. I can today Dalia and Gala is about 70 seater. We could have easily made it 100 seater, but now the art needs to be there. I'm very focused that the people who come in need a place to click a picture and no table can ever go there. So I was very clear about these things, even while designing Soka, Somveer and Kapoli, like Soka.
Okay.
That's the name. And they reached out to me and they said, we're looking at evolution of flavor, where we're taking ingredients from Karnataka and then reimagining it into food and drinks. The moment they said evolution of flavor, I'm thinking cocoon. My ADHD brain is like, cocoon. And then I start obsessing over cocoon, which is a phase of evolution. It has nothing to do with the space. But I'm like, okay, you know what? The place is nice. Strip everything across. We're going to have a massive cocoon from here to there, a community table below it. And people can interact with the cocoon. The cocoon moves, and that's the space. My business partner, Vipin, who's actually partners with them in other restaurants, they reach out and they're like, are you sure Sid will do a good job? Because, just randomly put a massive 15-foot lamp in the middle. And how will operations work, this, that. But we run one of the smallest bars in the country, which is Room 1. And Room 1 is an 18-seater bedroom, which is converted into a bar. So we understand operations in terms of how things flow. So I told him, we're not going to make it 45-seater. We cut it down, we make it 38. But we made a 30-seater space. We finished the project very fast. I finished it in about 30 days, the entire thing. I left everything I was doing and I was just excited to execute this thing. I give art like the center of my design, and then I work around the art rather.
Lovely.
And everything is created for experience. It is not to I never really think of, okay, this is the kind of revenue you'll generate, this, that. Dalia and Gala is a long bar, and I've put a massive sunset at the end of the bar.
Okay.
Why the sunset is because orange, red, and yellows, these are colors that calm the human mind. A warmer light is always nicer to look at. Now, the most photographed thing in the world is the sunset. So it is but obvious that everyone will want to click a picture there, especially when you can pose right next to it.
Yeah.
Every day, we have about 5 to 6 pictures posted from Dalia and Gala every day at the sunset. We've not spent a rupee on marketing till date. On a Saturday, we've just opened 2 months, but one of the Saturdays, it's a 60-seater, 70-seater space. We said no to about 200 people. So that is the kind of rush, you end up thinking, is there something wrong? Because there's just a rush of people waiting. And towards the end of the night, after people are done drinking, they form a queue to just click a picture there.
Oh, that's crazy.
So because I'm an influencer as well, I understand what people want to click with, and I'm giving them like a free photo op where the lighting is perfect. Anyone can just go click a picture and it's Insta worthy.
Yeah.
It was also put there for a reason. It's one of my signature pieces with copper where I've projected a sun with craters. So it's called the sun and moon. When there was designing Dalia and Gala, we really went in depth of customer experience. It wasn't to create another 10-15% of revenue. That was never the intention. It was just to give people a good time and make it a memorable one. And what I'm planning with Dalia is also that because I own all the artworks, I can switch things up.
Yeah, whatever you want. Basically.
To keep that excitement. Usually a restaurant will have like a new menu, say the summer menu or the winter menu is released. Instead, we say, okay, how about I change everything? It's a new space. And most
that's
of
what they did with Sketch London. That's so iconic.
India,
basically, what she did was the space was so iconic, and like you said, by then so many photos of that space had gone out. It was known as a pink color room. Suddenly she changed pink to yellow. After years, she just changed her entire seat, and suddenly the sketch that people have in mind, where people come from outside to visit that restaurant, is suddenly yellow. It's now people are going to see, why is it yellow? It's just why the change? So that's very interesting. I feel that's what you got to keep doing with the places, that you can just
that's
switch.
Crazy. Yeah.
All our drinks are basically a click on a riff on classics. So you have an old fashioned, we'll add maybe 1 or 2 ingredients, maybe introduce a new flavor. That's the drink. But we're not complicating it too much. Also, to keep things exciting, one of the drink comes with the riddle. You answer the riddle right, you get an original artwork by me.
What?
Yeah.
Free of cost?
Yes.
What the hell?
So if you answer it right. So people are now...
Are you taking a trip to Bangalore?
Yeah, how complex are these riddles?
It's very complex.
Yeah.
And there's about 5 or 6 of them. So sometimes people just come, get the drink, and they're like, oh, isn't the answer this? And then we're like, who told you? Because that's not the question you asked.
Yeah.
So everyone gets a different question. So this is one thing. Every drink has a garnish, which is an art piece by me.
Okay.
Which is actually a drawing of mine, which is stamped maybe on a orange rind.
I think I've seen that in Room 1.
Yeah, Room 1 is a little different, but everything has some form of art.
Yeah.
So it keeps things exciting.
Yeah.
That's about basically infusing art and interiors, experience. Like she said, Art is not just to decorate a wall. Many times, like 99% of the times actually, I get an interior designer who will call me and be like, Sid, we actually have a yellow sofa there. So do you have anything in orange or yellow tones? But like she said, things need to speak to you, the layering, the textures, why maximalist, what feeling it evokes in you. I don't think a bar can be very minimalist. I'm super minimalist in my work, but I have gone creating drawings like I just did on that pot there. I've made like hundreds of these drawings. I've started making sculptures that are figurative because the space needed it. Too much of abstraction will not excite the consumer. If I'm creating a lot of texture, no matter what it is, it doesn't excite a consumer in a cocktail bar. So we need things that are moving. Dali is divided into 6 sections. One is room 1, which is the exact copy of room 1 in Goa, which is actually one of the rooms. Then we have Dali's library, which is an ode to Dali as a thinker. The only difference between me and a madman is a madman thinks he's normal. I know I'm mad. Space was designed around Dali's ideologies and writings. The place has nothing to do with Dali or Gala. The name was only chosen to evoke curiosity. Our Instagram is only about art. So you want to go and check the place out. You don't know what it has to offer, but at least I know how to create that excitement. Being an influencer, I know, okay, what maybe is a clickbait. I know that people can come there, and once they come in, they're like in awe of the space. So Dali's library, then Mirror Room. Mirror Room is an ode to everyone who created Dali. Every single worker, every single tile cutter, electrician who walked in, I photograph everyone on my phone, and then I frame them, and the whole wall is that. Cool. And then there's a big mirror in between, which has prosthetic eyes. So I bought these ceramic prosthetic eyes, and the prosthetic eyes move. So we've created a system where the eyes kind of move every 10 minutes and they just start vibrating. So you see yourself in a mirror because you add to the space and you create the business. Then you have Rooster Room, which has cocktails coming out of the wall. So it's a play on words, cocktail. When I launched the place, I was like, we're not going to go heavy on PR. Rather, just invite a few of my art collectors, interior designers, architects, and let me just do a walkthrough of the space. And drinks will come. Drinks and food obviously is there. But let's walk people around, explain the space. I really liked that thing about being different. And we built Dali on that. That idea of being different is what I look up to. Dali himself said, I'm not a great artist. If you want to look at good art, go to Picasso. These are his words.
Picasso was the opposite. He would not sign his work because he was scared people would steal it. Like he was that
And eventually that's what happened.
Thank you for that beautiful answer. Siddhi, when we talk about trends, right, they're almost transient. You wake up one morning and things have changed. There's a color of the year, there's this, there's that. There's so much happening, whether it's fashion, whether it's interiors, whether it's architecture, any of it, it's always changing. When you are designing a space or when you are creating a space, do you keep these trends in mind, or do you feel like the designs that you create are more everlasting, or they're supposed to last longer than, say, a general trend? How do you deal and navigate around those?
As a designer specifically, I definitely would want to overlook trends. It's easier said than done, and create spaces that are timeless. Now obviously timeless in design just doesn't mean something that was great yesterday and great tomorrow. Timeless means that it needs to be relevant today, yesterday, tomorrow. So if, like he said, he can change things around and it'll still be relevant. So with your space, how can you move things around and your space will still be relevant 10 years later? So in designing, a lot of times you confuse being on trend or being timeless. Being timeless is, okay, not following trends. That's what you think. But it's actually being relevant even 50 years from now. If I have to change the space around with whatever I have, or I need to add layers to it, it'll still be something that was beautiful yesterday and beautiful tomorrow. When I try and incorporate trends, it's not something to make them look good today, but I incorporate them in a way that switch this place up. If I layer this place up, if I change colors of this place, if I keep this furniture, and if I change its upholstery, if I make it if I add on a trend, but I keep this piece of furniture, how the combination will remain timeless is what designing. I feel like that's the relevance is what you need to find. Instead of going as to this was trendy today and this is not going to be trendy tomorrow. And that's people say that marble is timeless. Use it today, use it tomorrow. It's always going to look stunning. No, of course, it's going to look horrible if you choose a bad marble.
Yeah, it's about how you use it.
Exactly. Like, it's certain. They think that a material is timeless, and you can use it anytime. But I feel like the additions and subtractions and how you as a designer can play around and make it relevant with time is making it timeless.
Yeah, that's really well romanticized. Like, I mean, it's not about the material, but how you use it.
Yeah,
right? That's beautiful.
Just to add to that, I tell my clients many times, good art and bad art cost the same.
Yeah.
So if you look at putting, you're spending 10 lakhs and creating an entire wall with fluted marble, this, that, and it just doesn't work for the space. It is going to cost you the same thing as much as investing in a nice piece of art that really worked on a white wall.
Yeah, fair
or maybe any other colored wall.
Yeah.
Many times people have a perception that expensive is better. But
all the time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Putting something with brass, this, that, gold is usually considered more premium. But even just a white wall with a very simple painting can, really do the trick.
Yeah.
It's the kind of feeling you get when you see the space, right? So, yeah, good art and bad art cost the same.
Yeah, like designing with a thought is going to always make things timeless.
Okay, guys, thank you for those beautiful answers. Now, before we call it a wrap, we're going to play a game, Rapid Fire. I'm going to ask each of you a set of questions and our audiences will decide who the winner is. So Siddharth, I'm going to start with you, okay? If Dali designed your bedroom, what's the first thing you'd ask him to start with?
My bed.
Nice. Would you rather paint a mural with Michelangelo or a graffiti with Banksy?
Graffiti with Banksy.
You wake up one day and your house is turned into a Bauhaus-inspired Lego set. First thing you do?
Jump on the sofa and have myself poked. Well, it's a Lego set.
If you had to explain surrealism in one object, what would you show?
Eyes.
Nice. If architecture had a zodiac sign, what would brutalism be?
Virgo. I'm kind of a brutalist.
If Van Gogh had an Instagram bio, what would it say?
Yeah,
I was just thinking about you. I was just thinking about you.
No listening, only watching.
Yeah.
Something like that.
Would you rather live inside an MC Escher staircase or a Jackson Pollock painting?
I don't know what a MC Escher is, but I know what a Jackson Pollock is, so I'll go with that.
Nice. Okay, Siddhi, it's your turn now, okay? If you could rename the Mona Lisa, what would you call her?
There's this film that I really like called Mona Lisa Smile. And I think that came to my mind because I would want Mona Lisa to at least smile because so many people are photographing her. So
You wake up and realize all your clothes have been replaced with historical garments from a random century.
wow.
Which one do you hope it is?
The Jane Austen era, obviously, the Victorian
nice.
era.
Oh yeah, lovely. If you had to explain minimalism to someone who's never heard of it using only interpretive dance, what move would you start with?
Let's go!
What? No, moves
I
are
should
his
act it out.
thing.
Yeah, come on.
Moves are- I'd go like this, like don't do it. like that maybe. Sorry, hot take.
Okay. Which interior design trend would make Picasso cry?
I know what would make him smile. I feel color drenching would make him smile. Extreme modern minimalism would make him cry.
Yeah, maybe.
Yeah. IKEA would make him cry.
IKEA would make him cry. Yes, nice. If your favorite designer had to babysit you as a child, what's the first thing they'd scold you for?
You're too much to handle.
Would you rather have a couch that slowly melts like a Dali clock or a bookshelf that constantly rearranges itself?
No, the bookshelf that constantly rearranges.
Who would win in a fight? Frank Gehry's buildings or Zaha Hadid's?
I don't know so much of Zaha Hadid's work, but Frank.
Yeah. You have to live in a surrealist painting for a year. Which one do you pick?
I mean, of
Okay,
course,
wait,
there's
I'll
Dali.
We both get one life.
There's Dali. I would like to be in
Yeah.
this painting. I think I would like to be in an absurd Dali painting. You can help me
That'd be
with
cool.
like, yeah.
Or I could ask, if you had to live in a surrealist or an impressionist painting, which one would you choose? Like a landscape or a abstract?
I would actually want
Surrealist
to.
would be cool.
Yeah,
like,
I would
imagine
actually want
having
to
Dali elephants and just
But it's scary,
This is-
man.
yeah,
Like, you
I
don't
would
know
actually
when-
it's all
wanna,
war and
Yeah.
stuff.
No, I would love to like be in a landscape and go back in time and like live in a space completely different from today.
Nice. Okay, guys, I think we're done. I think Siddhi has won this.
Yeah,
well done,
Siddhi has won
Siddhi.
it. I don't
Well
answer
done.
one.
Well done.
Thank
That was
you.
lovely. Well done, Siddhi.
Thank you.
So our brand partners, the boys, have made something very cool for you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you.
You should open it up.
Or now.
Yeah, it's actually quite cool.
Oh,
So they've etched this on a tile.
You and your man.
Oh, nice. Yeah, me and my man bun era. Make me cry. I miss my log hair.
Oh, that's so sweet.
I thank you, Moñö, for having us over. It was a great conversation, very insightful, very inspiring. A message I would like to give my viewers is that keep doing whatever you're doing. It all works out in the end. I think it's important to be a learner all your life. Keep exploring new art, engaging with art, going to exhibitions, trying out new activities. You don't know what is going to stay in your subconscious and eventually just come into your work, and just be happy while you're doing it.
Hi, I'm Siddhi. Thank you so much, Moñö. Thank you, Karan. Thank you, Sid. This is so fun. And I think one thing that I'd like to tell everyone is just show up and grab every opportunity that comes your way. Don't think what's cool, what's not cool. Don't get caught up in like, oh, this is, not me. You will never know what's you until you actually try it. So don't get caught up in this whole trend scene where you think something's below you or above you. I think try everything out. Don't say no to any opportunity. Something or the other just like works out in like random way and like takes you off somewhere, and you wouldn't even know if you didn't try. So yeah, try everything.
Thank you for watching Season 3, Episode 5 of Moñö Architecture, All Things Design. Brought to you by our brand partners Turquoise, Highbeck and Kitchen Studio. See you soon.
Bronze?
Yes.
Can you be a little bit like
Okay.
like bronze?
Bronze. Okay.